Morning, guys. This morning we're going to do a question and answer video here. Had a gentleman from right here in Lake County, Michigan, actually, John in Lake County, not too far from me. We were talking the other day, and he asked me a good question. And I thought that I would bring that to you guys. In this time of the year, of course, this is tax season, and everybody is getting these. A lot of people are getting these tax returns. Hopefully, you're the ones getting them, not paying them back in. We all pay the taxes in, and it's good to get something back in the this time of the year. But tax returns. So the question was, what can I do on my 10 acres here? He's got a little 10-acre chunk that backs up to a really good section here known in our area that has some good deer. And we've been looking at that his 10-acre piece here last couple of years, trying to figure out what we can do to it. So in conversation the other day, he said, what can I do? What would you recommend that we do first with my tax return? And he's got an amount that he was supposedly going to get back here, and he's trying to make a educated decision on what to do and how to do it. So what I wanted to bring to you guys today is, that's a great question. The first thing is that comes to my mind that I'd like to talk about is the first thing that you have to do is, I would recommend, whether it's 5 acres or whether it's a 400-acre parcel or whatever these large big chunks of ground that we do all over, you have to start with an analysis package. And the reason that is it's a one-time creation, it's a one-time design with me. And I'm able to go in and create these properties and give you the best, what I feel, for what your property has, the best bang for your dollar on a design that fits and makes your property huntable. After that's done, we do, obviously, through that process, we do all of the creation of the trail system. We do all the food plot design, if there's a food plot that needs to be in there. I create your bedding areas, put it all on paper. It's all on an aerial. You take the aerial, you hang it in the cabin or the house, and it's a one-time fee. And if you don't do all of the improvements that need to be done on that that we find that needs to be done, that's fine. You work on them for 2-3 years down the road, and that's a strategy that you can implement with your tax returns for 2-3 years down the road. If you've got if you get 400 or 500 back, or if you're getting 4,000 or 5,000 back, you can decide where you need to put that, and we can make that show the biggest return for you in a hurry. So that's what I would recommend doing. So when I answered John's question, that's the first thing that we talked about is, I have to do a analysis package on it. I have to get my boots on the ground, walk it, find the contour. This is still post-season here in this part of Michigan. We still got a little bit of snow, so that would really help with the aid. See some deer movement that was there last fall. We talked about all that post-season stuff and how that ties into it, and that brings us to that analysis package and why that's so important. And it's like I said, it's a one-time fee, and we can add to that, in the years to come, or design off from those bedding areas, let's say, or that food plot that we create. But you have to have that initial step. You have to take that initial step to have that done, instead of just hiring somebody, taking that money, hiring somebody to come in and I just want my food plot here. It's already an opening, and we just want you to clean it out and take some stumps out, and we're going to till it and we're going to plant it. And or this area in the back, I think this is where the hinge cutting needs to be, and design it. Next thing you know, you've created habitat improvements that you can't hunt around now, and it, like we always talk, it can destroy your property, and can destroy the huntability of your property in a hurry. And if you can't hunt your property, especially if you are on a small parcel here like in mid-Michigan, if you can't hunt it, your resale value and everything else ties into that. It's not a you can't hunt it, you're not successful, the next guy's not going to buy it, because obviously he's not going to be able to hunt it, and it's a ripple effect for years that won't only affect your hunting situations. Going to hunt are going to ruin your kids' hunting situations for the youth season, and everything ties into that. So that's the first step that I'd recommend, guys, on how to do that. So then the second thing that we talked about was what projects do we need to do, and that ties in after the analysis package is done. Then I'm able to tell you. I don't feel comfortable telling folks, hey, I just here, I've got $3,000, and this is, I need a bunch of bedding area work, and yep, you know, you need to go in and promote all this bedding and not tie it to a design and make that property flow and make sure that that stuff is in the right spots. So that could be, so to answer the questions on what do we need to do, the answer could be, if it's thick, his isn't, but if it's thick, you need to go in and take a mulching head. You need to open these areas up. You need to daylight these oak trees. You need to go through these hub style designs that I create, and you have to take this mulching head in there, and you have to open these areas up to get your deer to flow. Or you could be on the other spectrum of it, where you need to go in and after the design is done, you need to hinge cut. So you're either opening it up because it's too thick, or you're adding side cover and you're adding browse, and through a hinge cutting program, and adding food that way, tonnage that way. So two separate deals. So it all ties back, like I said, to the analysis package. We have to go in there and we have to give you an idea, that the most educated decision that I can possibly do starts with that analysis package. So the next hurdle, and John is not one of these. He's a single guy here, and he doesn't have to deal with this step, but this ties into some of the questions in the past that I've been asked about this, so we'll chat about it. Some of the things that I've been asked about is my wife is, we'll take the first step. My wife just isn't a hunter, and she doesn't hunt with me, and that's fine. But how do I convince my wife, or I've even had women ask me this, women that hunt, say how do I convince, how do we make the decision together that this is good for this is the best place to put our tax return instead of into bills that need to be done. That's the decision. Bills, I've got bills, everybody has bills. If you need to pay some stuff, obviously that it needs to be taken care of. So if it's a $2,000 tax return, maybe take $1,000 of it and put it towards your property, and take the other half of it and put it towards your bills, whatever the case is. But if you're coming to me with a habitat idea in mind, and you're trying to stretch that dollars out, what my thing is with that, guys, is the way I look at it. It's not only habitat improvements are not only benefiting your hunting, it's benefiting your property. It's not, not only the wildlife and the huntability and your success and everything that ties into it, as far as your family, you and your kids and everybody that gets to hunt it, your father and everybody that gets to hunt it with you throughout the season. The thing is what it does to your property is it actually bumps your investment, your return on investment. You're not going to lose your money, your hard-earned return tax money, by putting it into your land and habitat improvements. And the reason that is if you get to a point that maybe this summer it's just time to sell, or next year it's time to sell, you now have a huntable creation that you have created, that you can prove that works, that you can show a listing agent that you have this power. It's a hunting property, whether it's a 20 or it's an 80, and you had a professional design it, and he implemented some of the work on it, and you guys are being able to hunt it. This is how we get into the tree stands. It creates a storyline. It creates so you take a $1,250 property that's wide open with no habitat and no cover on the bottom, and TSI and timber stand improvements hasn't worked on it for years, and you create a whitetail mecca out of it. You just took a $1,250 an acre property. I'm speaking of mid-Michigan stuff here, but you just took that $1,250 red pine or undesirable stand timber stand on that, and you just made it an $1,800 or a $2,000 project pretty quick with your tax return. Now, like I said, depending on what it is, you might not get all of that done, through that for the year, but there's a lot of things that can be done. There's a lot of avenues that tax return can do on your property. It can be hinge cutting, it can be bedding areas, it can be, like I said, taking that mulch machine in there and open things up. It can be a trail system that you just don't have. It can be just the fact that you can't get in and out of the property real easy right now, opening that avenue up for you. It could also be planting these food plots. Maybe the cover is okay. You can do a lot of it with handwork. and you need to put more of that money into plots. You need to get that tonnage, you need to get that food, whether it's in a traditional food plot or whether that's in like a trail system food plot, on these small parcels around. But without having that analysis package done with somebody such as myself that knows what they're doing and can give you the best return on investment on your tax return, please take that step. And just if you never take any advice from me on any other videos, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, but make sure that you just do not go in and hire somebody that's just going to go in and start hinge cutting your property or using the hack and squirt technique, killing trees off, and without a design and without the proper layout and without making that property huntable. If you go in there with I always say is you go in blind, it's a recipe for disaster. And this is a honest to God truth here, guys. The business that I have is obviously we go in and we do the analysis package and we create, we make whitetail paradises, and we design these properties. I design these properties all over the state of Michigan, all over the country, more so now in the Midwest than we had last year. Yesterday I just designed my 45th within a year's time. That was 40. Yesterday was the 45th property that I'm designing. And I've been doing this for years before that, but as of last year, and some of them, like I said, I've done all the habitat improvements on them. I've implemented all of them after the design. Other ones I design, and I just stay on as a consultant with these folks, and you're able to do it yourself. And that way, you can feel the return on investment instead of, if you want that and it's a turnkey property, that's what I'm here for, and I'm also here just as a consultant. But where I was going with that is this: I could stop doing the design, I could stop doing the creations, I could just go in and fix properties that have been set up incorrectly, and that's the honest to God truth. I could put all my marketing, all my money, all my budget right now into just having a property remake or a makeover property design instead of a creation, because that's how much is out there that either old property owners that did it before you bought it, or folks that hired somebody that owns a chainsaw or is a logger and not a whitetail hunter and designer, and they didn't put two and two together, and they just hired a logger that does excellent work on what he does in the logging industry. But he's not a whitetail coach. He's not a conservationist as far as going in and setting up these properties and getting the best. It's a timber related project at that time, and it shows, because when I walk on these properties, they're not hunting properties. They're absolutely not a hunting property. And when you see the difference between a timber stand improvement or timber property and a hunting property, a whitetail hunting property and a habitat improved property, it's not even close. You can tie the two together, but you have to have a design, you have to have an avenue, and you have to have somebody such as me that is willing to accept both platforms, and you have to have a general contractor, I guess is the best way to explain it, that sets both paths where they need to be, and everybody stays in their lane, and you get what you create. Now, if you just hire one of those to do, then you're only going to get one avenue. You're only going to get a tornado effect, is what I see. And like I said, I'm being 100% honest on that. I could just go in and fix properties that have already been created, and I'm okay with that because I know that it's helping the success. But it frustrates me to no end that that's happening, especially here in the state of Michigan, where we're gating, we're climbing up that ladder of success. The habitat improvements are being done, and then you have somebody go in and you create everything around a 2-acre food plot in a 20-acre section, and all your hinge cutting is done laid right on the side of the food plot, and you've got a tree stand and a rifle blind on one side of it, and it doesn't hunt. You can't hunt it, and there's no success. That is what frustrates me, and I don't want you to see you take your income taxes that could help pay your part of your house off, or could buy your daughter a car, or it's going to college, or something like that. that to me, if you're not going to do it, put it in the right place on habitat improvements, don't put it there at all. So take that to heart, and if you have any questions, guys, feel free, pick up the phone, reach out to me. I answer questions and text messages and messages on Facebook and YouTube all day long. That's part of the business that I do. Reach out, and if your property needs the improvement, we'll do this analysis package. But don't feel that you're wasting your money when you're taking a tax return and putting it into your property. You're doing nothing but you're gaining momentum, not only into hunting, but also as far as the value of your property goes through the roof, and you have something to market that property to if you ever have intentions to sell it. If you don't, then it continues to be that platform that everybody gets to enjoy for years to come. And hopefully we're able to help you just add on to it as the years go. And that is the power of putting your money, your tax return money, where it should be.